everybody, Geraldine Rose here. This month's video hop is minimalist for me. Me, minimalist? This was for a monthly YouTube hop. I've got the others listed down below in the description if you want to hop on to the next person and see what they've got in their videos. The theme this month was Minimalist in May. Now that was not clean and simple. It was minimalist. I'm not really a minimalist. I had layer upon layer upon layer. So I thought if I could just keep it toned down a little bit, that would qualify for minimalist for me. And I thought I would revisit the double vision technique. Now, to do that, I started out with one of my Betterpress plates. This was the Wild Daisies from Altenew, and pressed it onto some yellow background cardstock. And then I got out the African Daisies die cuts, and I did those on some watercolor paper. And I'm coming back in again with yellow tones because I thought, well, minimalist is also being minimal in colors. Therefore, if I keep this mostly yellows with just a couple of touches of a lighter yellowish green, that as well could qualify for the minimalist technique, right? And so for those African daisies, I smooshed down some ink. I'm dabbing it first in, just smooshing it. And in between, I'm drying it with my heat gun because you want to put wet on top of dry. Otherwise, it's going to blend and just turn into a big tonal mess. This way, you still get the splotches. To give them just a scotch of character, we're going to put down a minimal amount of mica and shimmer sprays and just dab the little tips in those. Just going to give it a little bit of shiny on there. I put some water down and I splooshed the paintbrush in there, and then I'm just tapping it over the one side of that back panel. Not enough to cause the ink to start running, but just enough to give it a little bit of interest once it dries out. It's going to be very faded. Of course, assembling. You can see that the layering guide is on the back of that Altenew set. Most of these now are the keyholes going forward, and they've got the layering guides with them. So it's really simple to line them up, even if they don't actually have the little symbols within to line them up. You can see that they just tend to go from biggest and then up to the smallest up towards the top. All right, I thought I would emboss that panel too, so I grabbed out another daisy folder. This one was from Simon Says Stamp. It was one of the 3D ones, so I had to be certain not to press it down too hard so that the cardstock didn't get really warped. And I did spray it first with some water so that it would go through there much nicer without cracking. This is the part where I'm starting the double vision. I've cut the sides off this panel so that I now have even increments of ½ inch that I took a ¼ inch off, so that 4 inches, and split it down into each half. And you just snip all the way along, and then I lined them back up again up at the top. I've just got them sitting on some satin tape to hold them together, and I jumped to the inside of the card so that I had something to put this panel down on. I'm using 2 of the Altenew sentiment sets there. I'm using, again, the deeper yellow tones, and right through that middle part, I'm just bringing in a wee touch of the light green across it, just a slight ombre. The custom stamp will go down on the back. And then we are going to do something that I don't know what my mind was thinking here. In that I thought, oh, I could make it so that it's kind of like a sideways easel card, but it really is more like a box thing. But when you open it, then the hello there is still on the inside. And I know that we have a resident person that is absolutely fabulous at the fun folds. Carrie, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. You'll see. It's like, I don't know what but I just thought it was funny. So it's kind of some kind of minimal fun fold. And for the front part, what I did was you alternate putting the strips down for the double vision. So you'll glue one down and you put the next one in place, and you'll glue the next one down and butt it up against the others. And you can see here, I'm removing all of the ones that were not glued down. And what you're going to do with those ones is you're going to bring in some dimensional foam tape. Now I'm using the Simon Says Stamp foam tape because it's really thin, and I wanted this only to be a minimal effect. I didn't want it to be higher up the way that like the Altenew foam tape, it's a little bit thicker. And luckily, the Simon, their dimension on that, their width on that is exactly the width of the strips that I cut. I'm using a bit of glue so that I've got some wiggle room, because you know with those foam strips that once you get them down, they're set in place. And I did the same thing when I was gluing them on to the panel here. I'm putting that glue along, so I've got a little bit of sliding, and luckily they pretty much slot right into spot. Now, if you've got any at the end that are just slightly sticking out over the top or the bottom, just get one of your guillotine trimmers out or your scissors, and you can just nip off the little parts that don't quite align with all the others. So it's going to show up, down, up, down, up, down, and it's going to have your pattern aligned in the back for both the embossing folder and, for me, the Betterpress plate that I had. You could also use a stamp in the background too if you wanted, or you could use a stencil and just do a stencil pattern. I threw the daisies just along one side, along the one strip, because again, I didn't want a huge flower arrangement on the front. We're going minimal, remember? For the sentiment for the front, again, I just kept it really simple, and I grabbed out the pocket sentiments. I used the hello there with some obsidian black, putting some sparkle embossing powder over it to set that so that that obsidian doesn't smear. With the sparkle embossing powder, heat it from the back first. It doesn't fly away as badly then. Bring it around to the front, finish it off. And that one, I've got a few mixed in there, but the WoW one especially, it causes like a gasoline effect. It's really neat. Die cut it out. Luckily, they've got the coordinating dies for that. Setting in it to spot here. And I tried it up at the top too, but then it looked kind of weird because I had a big empty space down at the bottom, and it just seemed like a natural fit in there. Both of those flowers are kind of set at your third points in your composition. And the hello there is just set down in that bottom third square that's on the right-hand side. So that's the finished card. A little bit of splatter through the background, as you can see, with what we had left over from when we smooshed the flowers. Doesn't really stand out too much, so it's still quite minimal. Only a little bit of shiny, shiny bling bling on there with the confetti discs. A little minimal fun fold and a very minimal double vision. So you all could be that change you want to see in the world. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to check the other people out, and we'll catch you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.